trying to bridge the gap between the physical and the metaphysical. And how many here have seen a Bigfoot? Has anybody seen a Bigfoot?
He has.
Okay. How many have heard one?
Yes.
How many are here today? How many are going to raise your hand no matter what I say? Just asking. Okay. I'm going to go through the physical part of what I ran into, me and some other guys in this high Sierra Mountains in California. Yeah, it started in 1971 for me. That's my friend Bill. We packed in, and we had repeated encounters. I'm going to play some sounds for you as we go along. Let's see, that sound didn't come. That's the shelter. Once we got there, that's what we had to stay safe with. Group of trees. You want to consider yourself safe in something like these monsters out there. I have no doubt they could have crashed in there anytime and done something to us, but we were all heavily armed. It's a hunting camp. Been a hunting camp since 1958 from the Johnson brothers. They rented this in 1971 early, and as soon as the snow melted, they get in there, and came out and told us this story about these monsters. Nobody was looking for Bigfoot. It wasn't on anybody's radar. They come out and told us. I was friends with all of them, the hunters, the other hunters. There was 5 of them at that time. I got invited into the camp because one of the guys got freaked off, and after they all went back up there, he wouldn't go back without me, and I didn't go the first time. So anyway, that's kind of how I got involved in it. We would close that log you see on the right-hand side there, and of the doorway. That's our doorway, those 2 trees. So it's 8,400 feet elevation, and about 8 miles from the closest road you can drive to. That's the kind of sound we got the first in 71. They were very aggressive sounding, but we didn't go and try to shoot at them. They didn't come in to shelter at us, so we just kept our calm as much as we could, and kept going back because we hadn't been eaten yet. And so, anyway, no one carried us away no sleep bag either. So anyway, those horses and mules you saw is how we got our supplies in there. We had some barrels strapped to the trees there with cables and put our supplies in when we were packed in with horses and mules. That way when we could just get away without doing the animals, we could walk in there without carrying a bunch of stuff and carry it all back out. Because what you carry in, you're supposed to carry out. Because this shelter itself was taken down in 2015 when the Forestry Service got wind of it. And they said you can either take it down or we'll charge you $5,000 we'll take it down. Anyway, the guys went up there. I didn't go because I didn't want to be associated with them at that time as far as being the Bigfoot, because I don't think anyone knew about that part. Anyway, this is camp. That's Alan Berry. He's a reporter we took in, an investigative reporter, took him in 1972. That's me on the right, I guess. And anyway, he was looking for a hoax. We didn't know that at the time, but he thought it probably was. He was referred by Ivan Sanderson, I told him he was from back east here somewhere, and then Ivan Sanderson thought the same thing. I didn't know all this till later, but Ivan Sanderson said to Peter Byrne, who was on the West Coast. Peter Byrne knew Al Berry, and he said down to him, and they all thought, I found this out through the correspondence later on, they all thought it was a hoax, but he came down and interviewed us, and we invited him in 72, and he came across this stuff, but he was still looking through our bags. He was trying to find out who could be pulling this off here in the middle of nowhere, and leaving no sign except for the tracks, their huge voices. So we don't know. intentions are. Maybe because we had guns and didn't want to attack us, or maybe they just wanted to play with us. I don't know, but they do play with you, by the way. But you know, just saying something like I'm doing now doesn't prove a thing. It just doesn't. Anybody can get up here to say this stuff, and people say they can mimic these sounds or reproduce them, but you can't. I mean, it's been studied. No one can get to the range that they get to. They can get to our range, but they can also get to higher frequencies than we can, than the human voice can mimic. Play that one. I'm tired of hearing you looking normal. That's Al Berry. He was a master's degree in science. He was also an officer in Vietnam. He's the one we took to the camp in 1972. But he ran across me and tried to get these sounds studied by somebody professional because he knew what it took to get analysis done. He kept running into a term called cognitive dissonance. That's when don't bother me with facts. I made up my mind. Took him to Dr. Philip Lieberman to Brown University and asked if he could study him. And of course, he thought he was just a disgruntled student that was trying to. Yeah. So did this other guy, Fred McMenefee, I guess it's called. And those sound experts, primate sound experts, who're supposed to be able to detect language or not. But you know what? Both of them said. In fact, science says this. Only humans have the vocal mechanism to make language, like I'm saying right now, cognitive, sapient speech. I mean, dolphins, everything has a way of communicating, but nothing has the ability to communicate like humans do. That makes us pretty unique because these things have that ability. Where does that put you? This is Dr. Curlin at the University of Wyoming. He's a sound engineer. He studied sounds and see if there's any detection. He had the original sounds that Al Berry I had sent to him or gave to him. And he studied them for a year. And you see the box right there? That box is the average human range. You get the little dots on those icons, and those are the sound frequencies you'll hear on the sound effects we play for you. Look over here on the left, those little, see the little zeros, circles? That's the muy metal, which you'll hear in this sound frequency. It sounds very human-like. If you notice, they're in the human box, the average human box. And that's pretty unique because it shows they get out of the range, below it. This is all in a book that he put a paper in.
There were no particular evidences of re-recording at slower speeds, definitely features in those sounds that would be correlated to an extremely large human male.
That's Dr. Curlin, and I just interviewed him a year ago. He's still with us. He's retired, been retired since 2012. Highly ranking electrical engineer, professor, and I say highly ranking, he's got clearances for top secret stuff. This is a human sound expert that we ran into in Portland, Oregon. She was one of the only 10 in the state of California, which was qualified in several languages being a court interpreter. She had perfect sound. Similar to what there's Scott Nelson. Of course, he can't hear anymore. He's qualified to do this stuff too. But she said whatever made these noises had a voice pitch considerably more flexible than that of Homo sapiens sapiens. It was much lower and much higher. She also drew that picture for me. This is a site she saw this thing on the beach over in California, and it was out in the water, picking up seaweed out of the ocean there. She'd been sitting there for a long time with a lens cover over her camera, and she's seen these things walk by. She's from the UK, but she's a linguist, I found out. Qualified in 7 different languages. She saw this thing, and I got to get a picture of this, and she didn't even know something like this existed. She dropped her lens cover on the rock she was sitting on. He heard it. He comes out of the water, screaming at her. There were 2 females that he had been throwing the seaweed to. They were doing something with it. And she thought she was going to die, but she says the females were holding him back, stopping him from coming at her. She passed out, and she was dragged up to her car somehow. She's not sure how, but she figured she was dragged. I recorded that in '74. She heard that on the Sasquatch Chronicles with Wes. You guys, all you guys are tuned into that, I think. I hear yes anyway? Oh, thank you. I just need to know you're still there. Every once in a while. She said they had his neck would swell out when he screamed at her. And that tells me that maybe they got air sacs. And Jeff Melton asked me, or told me one time that a lot of primates, they holler like in all their air sacs, which are under their arms, actually, down south. And he says they have air sacs. And that's how they throw their voice, because it's so loud sometimes. These things have an amplitude that you can't capture on a tape recorder. They just jar you, they're so loud. And anyway, that's what it looked like. She said when his neck would swell out. It screamed. This is Scott Nelson, which you'll hear, and I'm not going to talk a lot about him because he'll talk a lot about himself. He's a 2-time graduate, let's see, of there it is. Vetted him by the Chief Knowledge Officer at the Defense Language Institute of Foreign Languages in Monterey. And he came back with a letter to me, because I don't let just anybody try to figure out what these things are saying. I've had so many people over the years say they know what they're saying, but he doesn't know what they're saying. He just knows he can identify it as a language, because his whole career in the Navy as a cryptolinguist was to pick up sounds. If it's a code, try to decipher the code. If it's a language, see if it is a language or not. If it is a language, see what it might represent. So he did that, but I'm not going to get into his story here. He'll be up right after me. You don't want to miss that, but it's kind of interesting. Very interesting. And he's been up on the hill with me. I said the hill, it's a mountain, several times. We tried to capture more cooperative sounds. And of course, your batteries go dead when that happens. You know. We were fortunate enough. These were all done with cassette recorders that we recorded back in those days, in the 70s. Okay, the importance of language. Only humans have a mechanism for language. And I mentioned that a minute ago, so I won't say it again, but that's Dr. Philip Lieberman there on the right. And that takes it into another category as far as I'm concerned. It's only humans have that. You've got a professor of engineering saying the tapes were not altered in any way. They're in and out of the voice, our voice range. They represent an animal, approximately 8 foot tall, that little snippet that you heard there. And then you got Scott Nelson, a handful of those people in Oral Roberts, he's got the talent that he has, saying that it's his language. Then you got Philip Lieberman saying it's a language. That means there has to be a human component to them. And I just coming out with that this year, or last year, because it's kind of significant. That's me years ago, holding that track. That's my Sagittal crest I was hiding. You all know what a Sagittal crest is? Out there on my table, you see 2 skulls I got those out of Peru. The skulls themselves are not, those are replicas that Joe Taylor, who just passed away a couple weeks ago, did for me. And anyway, those are exactly how the real ones look. But I'm going to play a sound now, which this is just a display, which you heard earlier. The other one is a language. takes a morphine stream of words to create a language, like I'm talking now, which makes a sapient sentence by the human definition of language. That's important. People say, were you afraid when that happened? I can answer that. We had big guns, and all of us did. And we'd all been deaf, for sure, if we'd had to fire at the thing while we was inside the shelter. But they didn't try to break into us. And again, they didn't eat us either. And this is what they would consider a language. Now, the sound specialist told me and the other guys, and by the way, there's 6 of us, and that was a male and a female one, just saying. It worked, and she won the conversation. We don't know if they was arguing at that time to each other, or, well, we know it's arguing to each other, but were they arguing about the salt and pepper where it's going to be when they get us, or were they often arguing about the food we left out for them, because we did leave food out for them. And they took it until we left out some sour meat, which we thought they were like a bear at the time. We underestimated what we're dealing with. Just totally underestimated it. If I'd have known what I know today, we'd done things differently. I'd done things differently. But none of us knew about how really all the things really work. That's what I get into in my second part of this thing, which comes up here in a minute. See which pill you want to take, the red one or the blue one. That's what I love hearing, because that's in my quantum book out there. Here's another sound when I was interacting with them in 1974. I was 29 when I went up there in 71. So I'm in my 80s now, and I'm glad I'm here to be able to talk about this. I think that's why this all happened to us. I don't know, but where it's taken me all these years, because I've been pretty much all over the world looking to the anomalies associated with these things. I've been in a lot of countries. This is 3 years after the initial contact. That's Lewis in the middle, Lewis Johnson, Bill McDowell on the right, and myself on the left. That's when we had long hair. And that was a big night for me, because that's the first time I really got a fairly good glimpse of one. It was right after I did that samurai cry. There was one behind me, and there was the adolescent and the female we think down below. And he comes streaking by like that, really fast. I mean, you can't run that fast through those woods. I don't think any human could without stumbling. Somebody was smooth also, like it was floating through there. Very fast, very smooth. But that, you put the sound together with what you saw. Some people say, well, you didn't see what you heard. How do you know what you heard? That's true. But we'd all been trying to get glimpses. My daughter has seen them 3 times up there. And the other guys got glimpses like I got that night. Like Bill got that night too, my friend. It was just 2 of us in camp. And it was quite the evening. And the next day is when the other guys came in, Johnson's, and they're there for the hunting season. And anyway, the same thing started happening that night. The wood popping, the whooping sounds and stuff like that. Lewis was getting really frustrated because he was up there to get meat for his family. He was wanting to hunt. He didn't want these things to mess with us. He picked up his rifle and his flashlight went out like that. It stopped. Everything stopped. Nothing else the whole time they were there. And Anyway, I caution people in using a white light. I think it blinds them. I don't think they like that at all. And of course, if you got your rifle, you think you're going to shoot one, they're going to see that aura about your energy. I think. Number of us. But until one shows up and points to a tree and says, ooga, ooga, that's a tree. We don't know that ooga, ooga means a tree. They translated the fact that it's a language by the human definition, but you don't know what they're saying. We don't know what they're saying. So I don't encourage people to blast these sounds. I've had one or two people say they got charged for that happening. And you don't want to do that. And you don't know what they're saying. They might be challenging you. They might be looking for a mate. You don't know. So you gotta be careful. That's Todd Neese took that picture when he was out on expedition. But yeah, I've been into Nepal, Siberia, Russia, Bolivia, Mexico, Peru. And here's a whistle. The whistle interaction. You'll hear the human whistle, but you'll also hear this other whistle. Their whistle comes through the vocal cavity, not through the lips like we do. Are they flesh and blood only? A lot of people want to say they're just flesh and blood, that's all. But I got to tell you, in my research for 50 years, nothing, absolutely nothing is just flesh and blood. Any animal, all of us have more than just flesh and blood. We have cognizance, we have the ability to telekinesis, telepathic stuff. Anybody had a deja vu out there? You know what a deja vu is? How do you figure that works? It works through different rules than what we're used to. We're used to just Newtonian physics, which is just 1687 Newtonian physics by Isaac Newton, which is good because we've got to live in this 3D environment here. But there's more going on. There's just a lot more going on than just what our 3D frequency tells us. And we got to tune into that. Because these things, we know we're dealing with something physical up there because they left footprints. They have a language. They eat, they poop, they procreate. We've got a little one going on. They're like us in many ways, but they're sentient. Anybody heard one of those like that? I can't see very well from the lights, but I don't see any hands. Everybody wonders why that happened to you and don't happen to me. Well, I don't know. It's probably so I could be up here and talk to you guys today. And then I got to ask, how long do you think they may have been here? How long have we been here? Are there different kinds? I'm a believer that there are different kinds of these things. I can talk to people all over the world about this, and there are some identical signatures, but they're not all exactly the same. And I don't think the Patterson Bigfoot, whatever that was, is not the same as the ones we dealt with in the Sierras. Just got reasons for that, and I'll get into that, but we don't know everything. Humans don't know what we think we know. We think we're ahead of the heap and all that stuff, but are we really? We only see within certain frequencies. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration according to physics, and we all taught that. But the light frequency is between 430 and 770 terahertz. That's the only frequency we see in light's frequency. All these other frequencies are out there beside of that. We just don't see them. We don't smell everything there is to smell. I mean, a bear's olfactory sense is 20 times better than ours. You think about that, 20 times better than ours. I mean, they'll smell you before you ever get close to them, probably, unless you're downwind. And also the infrasound and ultrasound. We don't hear those frequencies of ultrasound like a dog can hear, the high whistles of the dog. Or the infrasound, which are large animals, elephants, giraffes, large tigers, they communicate in infrasound. I personally think they can talk to any of those frequencies and hear any of those frequencies. But we just are limited with our human construct, what we are. And if you realize that, especially in your woods, well, you might have a better opportunity to start identifying things. Just saying, no our human limitations, but we're limited. We're just limited with our 5 senses. That's Newtonian physics. How does anything so big stay so concealed? That's the big question. I had a cousin if they were out there, we'd know about it. Science knows everything, right? No, they do not. And what they do know, they lie to you about it, they can't control it. Just saying. Could they live underground? This is in Turkey, that's underground city. And a lot of you people have seen this picture already, but there's more than one. Things live underground. And this was supposedly inhabited, it goes 270 some odd feet below the ground level, inhabited by thousands of people. Long time ago. So maybe they live underground, I don't know. Okay, maybe they come from the cosmos. One head float in there. I got a head float down there somewhere. There it is. That's a Bigfoot. Classical science, I mentioned that a minute ago, it's Newtonian physics, and that's what most all researchers and people are looking for, the ape in the woods. And it's all conditioned on, researchers use that method exclusively, because it's what you can see, what you can find. The evidence is what everybody thinks they're looking for. They are looking for it. I've been looking for it. We all thought they were just ape in the woods when we were up there too, but we found out that there's more to them going on. There's something that has to solve the mysteries that we were running across, and we'll get into those in a minute. But I'll get into them now. One time we thought our camp was being farmed. We hauled some barrels in there. You see that one in the second film I had there. And we stored our supplies in that so we could walk in later and not have to carry anything in. But we thought those barrels were being torn off the trees and all our stuff was being thrown around out there. These things were making a sound, so we thought, wow, we better not mess with that. So we looked out there later though, when all the commotion stopped, nothing had changed. It's hard to explain. You can't explain it, so you put it up on the stove. And one time, I mentioned this in Pilates interview with me, that I thought I heard a car go slam up there. And you don't get a car up there. There's no roads, there's no nothing up there. You can't drive it, but yeah, I heard that. The other times when one of the guys heard a herd of horses stormed down towards the camp, and that wasn't happening. There's a lot of unusual things like that we had happening to us. I've heard metallic sounds. I thought I heard a sound like a big tuning fork up in the sky, and that was in the daytime. I kept trying to find the source of it and never could see anything. Was it a UFO cloaking? I mean, supposedly they can do that. Because their technology is way above ours. You see the way those skulls are out there, those are not human, by the way. There is no sagittal suture up here. We have 2 parietals, one on each side, the sagittal suture right down the middle. Those don't have that. And they're naturally elongated, they're not cradle-boarded like our Incas did. Incas did do that to their royalty, thinking they was going to get the same brain matter and the same abilities that the pre-Inca people had, which is what those are. And the little one out there that you see is a baby skull, and we demummified that to get the DNA and just to see what it was all about. And Joe Taylor, that's the way he's an expert at that stuff. He made those for me from down there. Anyway, go track here. There it is. Yeah, Newtonian physics has taught us to base everything on physiology, which is the 5 senses, hear, sight, taste, smell, touch. However, that's just not all there is. It's based on the claim that all reality is material or physical, measurable and predictable. And we like to believe that, we have to work with that. To build a house, better than tape measure. All that stuff is true. However, there's more going on. It's just not totally true. Newtonian physics doesn't tell us how everything works. It doesn't explain us how telepathy works. You know, when you think you heard, you got a feeling, you know the feeling you get, you think someone's going to call you and the phone rings. It's that person. Well, that's not part of your physical body, that's part of your consciousness. It's part of something that's totally separate from the ethereal, something like that. he said, how does all this stuff work? Clairvoyance, feelings, deja vu, remote viewing. Remote viewing, by the way, is still done by the government. I know 2 people that do that. Actually hired by the FBI sometimes to look at that stuff. Where's the evidence in this through natural selection? Could any of these giants have these abilities? Because they're part human, or we're part Bigfoot, I'm not sure how it goes, but they probably have the same abilities we have. We have a lot more abilities than most people realize. We got to learn how to tune into them. And I can get into that a little bit, like quantum Bigfoot. That's Joe Taylor, the guy that's what we're demumifying that baby skull you see out there. That's Brian Forrester, and Ellie Mazzillo, and myself, and a couple other Aaron Junkins, and Joe Taylor. Anyway, we trying to get DNA out of it. We did. And that's in, where is that? That's in Olinepcandu, that's Peru. And those that mound up there in the back of my head, those are pretty big. I couldn't lift one of those. I couldn't push any of those over. Those are huge, and they are put together like a jigsaw puzzle. You get into all of them. I'll show you another one here in a minute. But the Incas did not do that. But somebody who had the ability to make things with no gravity, I think with sound technology. You guys ever heard about the coral castles in Florida? Oh, my good. Yeah, that guy knew something we don't know. Or we think we don't know. I think I know, but it's my secret. That's me and Brian and LA, Missouri, Bolivia. Found that skull in this private dig right here. That little one and that other one up there on the right in the box, then I took a picture of that in the museum in Caracas, Peru. It's elongated, naturally elongated again, no cradle boarding. And most people say, well, the Incas did that. Well, the Incas did do that, but they thought they would get the same brain matter that the pre-Inca people had, which is a thicker skull, number one. And number two, it's elongated. They got their baby's skull to elongate, probably got them a headache too. But it didn't get more brain matter, just a little empty in his head. 30% more empty. Oh, okay. How advanced could Sasquatch be? Well, I'm saying Sasquatch. Keep in mind, I'm talking about the ones that I've encountered up there and the studies that I've done personally, but I don't know if they're all the same. In fact, I got some data here that tells me they are not all the same. Some of them can scream and yell, some of them can talk. A lot of them have different signatures that others don't have. So I think there's a reason for that. I'll talk about here when I get into the red and the blue pill. How many here believe in aliens? Good. How many here do not believe in aliens? Okay, I still see something like to raise your hand no matter what I say. But it's pretty much a given now that the government acknowledges UFOs and aliens both. So we got to open our heads up to realizing that there's more going on than we're just not seeing. Not always, anyway. Native American mythology say they live in 2 worlds. How does that fit? How does that work? Do we ignore those accounts? Do we give any credit to that stuff? Spirit beings who can disappear. That's a Native American lore. Can that happen? I got some data in here that shows science behind how that can happen. I'll show you in a minute. Well, we see that more awkward and sound. However, we're going to bridge the gap a little bit here, I hope, between Newtonian physics and quantum physics. And they're both out there. We have to live in a 3D world. You know, 3D. But there's also these other frequencies going on. Tesla said everything, you want to understand the universe thing in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. At the most minute level of our existence, we are energy, vibrating at a frequency. If you can find that frequency, you can change matter, according to Einstein and Tesla. That doesn't fit with everybody's brain pattern going on here, because how does that work? How can that work? Do you believe that Christ did miracles? Did anybody do miracles? Can anybody do miracles? If you find the frequency of it, you can do a miracle. And that's why it goes into the sixth level, I think, of frequency. We live in a 3D, a three level. Quantum physics versus paranormal. Yeah, I don't like to be called a wooer or a paranormal guy. I'm a citizen scientist. That's what I prefer to be called. Just saying, picture say, hey, citizen. But quantum physics, the laws of quantum physics, which is recognized around the world pretty much, they will solve all the things you see in the woo world, in the paranormal world. Go solve that stuff. There's a reason, there's a law behind it. Now, Albert, I mentioned earlier, was a master's degree in science, and he says, don't talk about this weird stuff up here, or you're not going to talk anywhere. And he was right at the time, but now it's time to talk about that, because weird stuff is happening to us up there. And not just the Bigfoot stuff, but more. Lights, sounds that we could not identify, stuff. So we don't want to be confusing paranormal with quantum physics, what I'm talking about today. Because I hope everything I'm talking about here can be substantiated by quantum physics, the rules and the laws of quantum physics. Everything has to have a law behind it. It has to be an answer to any question that's out there. It would be a question. I don't think you can ask a question there's not an answer to somewhere. So I started delving into quantum physics years ago to figure out what would answer this stuff that was going on up there. And here's one, Edgar Mitchell. You guys know him. He passed away. He was one of the astronauts, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. He was the sixth man on the moon, I think, something like that. Just takes classical and quantum sciences together to have clear perception. I love that one. That's my favorite one. Because if you don't apply quantum sciences to the physical world that we're living in, you won't understand a lot of stuff that's happening that your brain will fill in the gaps with something else. That's just the way it goes. Quantum physics rides on the back of classical science. That's Paul Dirac on the right, that's Isaac Newton on the, I'll say Paul Dirac, no, it's Max Planck. He got the Nobel Prize for quantum physics in 2018. And you've got somebody say, well, it only works within the micro world. Well, no. It works throughout the universe, according to Dr. Christopher Blair at West Texas A&M. And he says this: in reality, every object in the universe, from the atoms to the stars, operates according to quantum physics. Okay? Time is not the same once you get off this gravitational pull of the Earth. And that's been established very much by the astronauts that are out in space. Time as we perceive it is hard to say. Time as we perceive it doesn't exist. We live in linear time. And it's hard to get your head around too, because we know there was yesterday, we think there's going to be a tomorrow, or such and such and such and such. But time is all in the now. And you got to look into that if you want to know. Tesla said, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than all the previous centuries of its existence. You guys know who Nikola Tesla is, right? Somebody say yes? Yes. Oh, great. Oh, I love this. Yeah, he's a pretty smart guy. He's one of my favorites too. He saw things, and he's been pretty much neglected for the last 100 years. Until recently. Here's another one by Edgar Mitchell. It says, there's no unnatural or supernatural phenomena, only very large gaps in our knowledge of what is natural. We should strive to fill those gaps of ignorance. That's why I'm here. I hope to help somebody out there. I'm not here to try to prove anything to anybody. I'll tell you what happened to me. We were fortunate enough to get some of these recordings, which brought me into this level of thinking here. Got me into consciousness. the time we recorded these things, we thought there was a kind of a lost being out there that just hadn't been identified, some grade 8. And who knows? There's a hybridization program going on, I believe, by aliens, called living aliens. Yeah. They hybridize different species on this planet, and that's just the way it is. Some of you guys might be half alien. Some of you might be all alien. Well, just don't know. There it is. If you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, I like this. He's the guy that won the Nobel Prize in 2018, quantum science. Science changes one funeral at a time. You know, when you try to get academia to take on this subject, they laugh at you or think you're hoaxing them or something like that. And sorry to say, but they got to open up their heads a little bit better. And I know some of these guys, they work hard for the PhD, but they got to study and train in certain parameters of the subject matter that they're going to. And that's how they make their money, and that's how they're going to earn their living. They're going to stay within those parameters no matter what you say. And again, I know them, some of them, and they'll go to church on Sunday, they believe in God, et cetera, but how do you get around God if you don't believe in other dimensions, other things going on? Because if you believe in God, if you believe in pearly gates or Buddha or whoever you want to believe in, if you think there's something else going on, you got to understand these dimensions are there. And when we leave this embodiment that we got, our consciousness cannot die according to physics. It can only change forms. Religious people say, well, I'm going to go to heaven, or maybe not. But if you're a physicist, you're going to change forms. Einstein wouldn't guess what that could be, but a lot of people chime in on that one. I do too, but it's ideological. At the subatomic level, everything is energy frequency, vibrating at a different frequency. There you go. Define the frequency and change matter of energy cannot die. That's Stephen Hawking. Energy just changes form. Just said all that, didn't I? Okay, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. This is Albert Einstein talking, not me. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. That's how, folks, miracles are done. How do you find that frequency? I blew my back out here a couple weeks ago. I wish I knew the frequency to fix that. So can anything disappear? You ever heard a story about these things that disappeared right in front of my eyes, or the trackway stopped? That happened to me in here. Trackway just stopped. How's that happen? Well, Bigfoot disappeared. I'll tell you about a guy who's not well known, but he's a physicist, and he got the Nobel Prize in 1933 for antimatter. And this is matter. Antimatter, you don't see it, but it's there. Okay? Einstein said energy and matter, he said this to her, this is Paul Rock, energy and matter are interchangeable. I put that together. If these things can create the frequency to change their matter into energy, they would disappear out of our visual perception. And the trackways would stop because they have no density after that. So, there you are. There's the answer. Anybody get that? It's kind of important because I've heard people over the years say, in fact, Fred Beck, from Ape Canyon in Oregon, in 1924, he came out with a story. He shot one of these things, fell off a bluff, they couldn't find the body. He swerved down and hit it. And prior to that, though, these other miners were finding these tracks and seeing these things here and there. He found this trackway, and he said the tracks, in order for it to continue, the trackway would have had to have jumped 160 feet to not leave another track. So he went to his grave saying these things are paranormal. Well, they changed their matter to energy and the density stopped. That's my take on it. Because matter and energy are interchangeable. How do they change their energy back into matter? Is that possible? They're interchangeable. And this is, I'm saying a lot of stuff that's a little woo out there, but it's physics really, quantum physics. You have to believe that, you don't have to believe anything, but you need to believe that quantum physics, Newtonian physics, are what we all live in, like it or not. Because we're all spiritual beings, like it or not. Religious I'm not, but I was raised religiously. I think we're all spiritual though, and we have to realize that something's going to leave this body and change form someday. Because this body is just here for a while, but your consciousness lives forever. So matter can disappear. I think I've established that. I hope so. This next picture is Scott Nelson there on the left. And that's my granddaughter and my daughter there on the right. My daughter had saw one that morning, and we found the trackway. And those tracks were deep. We couldn't make it. See Scott there trying to stretch out between the tracks right there. And didn't even make a dent in the ground. Things are heavy, very dense muscle matter, I imagine. So mass changed energy, energy changed the mass, trackways would stop. UFOs, aliens, and Bigfoot. You know, about 20% of all UFOs, UAF sightings have a 20% Bigfoot component in them. And the first sign of that came out in 18-something. It was in the Huffington Post in 2012. She found an article in the Eureka Times where a rancher and some Native Americans saw this small boat come down and 3 crazy bears jumped out of it. Well, that probably was a UFO and some Bigfoots. Bears don't jump out of UFOs that I know of. Those rocks behind me right there, that's in Peru. And look at that. These things are well over 100 tons, some of them. There's no mortar between those boulders. And this is all over Peru. It's not just right there, but it's also in Egypt. It's in different parts of the world, really. The technology is around, and we just haven't got a handle on it yet. I think it's done with sound frequency. How they mold the rocks is up in the air, too. Don't know. But it's quite eye-opening when you get down there and see that stuff for yourself. Because you can't put a hair between those boulders. They're put together like a jigsaw puzzle. But there's advanced technology that did that. Possible connection between all these things. Why would a higher frequency being, that's what they are, want anything to do with us? We have the jewel planet in the solar system. No other planet has what we have. And we're screwing it up. We're desecrating it. We're blowing bombs, we're cutting trees, we're doing all kinds of things which are not helping the Earth, the planet. So I encourage people to try to do better and stop hurting other people. And I get in, it's my philosophy. Don't hurt anything. How long have advancements been? Okay, we believe in aliens, got that down pretty good. How have they been coming here? Since before us. Eons and eons and eons. How have they messed with this planet? For eons and eons and eons. We haven't been here all that many eons, or that many thousands of years, really, human Homo sapiens. And something created us, right? Well, how did we get what we are? How did Bigfoot get what he is? And if they were here before us, what created them? Because they're not in Darwin's evolutionary time plan. You don't see a monkey. Well, you do see a monkey in there. You don't see a Bigfoot. I don't see a Bigfoot anyway. Something changed the DNA. Something with advanced technologies has manipulated the DNA of troglodytes, cavemen. And anyway, I think a lot of that's been going on. I think they've hybridized so many species on this planet. I say hybridized, I think they want to acclimate their species to this atmosphere. That's just my opinion. Just not much science behind that, but another guy coming up, he's got a table right next to me out there, talking about aliens here, after Scott Nelson gets through. I think you might want to hear him, or you might hear all of us, I hope. That's why we're here. Could giants be the product that they're doing? Okay, a lot of people get all the way into Genesis and get into the Nephilim. Who said that? Who's into the biblical thought of this, the Nephilim thing? Okay, there's a way that could happen. It's just very condensed in Genesis. But I got into that a little bit in my Quantum Bigfoot book out there. The different ways that can happen, how the genetics get changed over the eons, over the time. We're only here for a short time in this embodiment. Again, salt, pepper, don't know. Different aliens have been here, I said that. They have frequencies that are different, and they have frequencies that are different than ours. Bigfoot mind speak. A lot of people say, well, I heard this. I don't know. I don't think I ever had a mind speak to me, but I don't know. Because I'm always analytical. I'm very analytical about everything. But somehow they did try to speak to me. I don't know what they said. Scott Nelson still can't tell me that. You can only say that with complex language. So there must be a meaning for me being here today. Could it be that they want to evolve themselves to a higher frequency? Some of them are just in the fifth frequency, which is just beyond the fourth of time, which is where I think it goes hang out. My opinion only. Some people see those. A cat can see better. A cat can see some of those things in other dimensions that we don't see. All animals can. Our eyes are in 430, 770 terrors. That's all we can see. But they have better. So sometimes your camera lens will have a better view than your eyes. You can take a picture I have up at Joe's house, which was one time in Vortex. And you won't see any orbs, but you take a picture and you'll see orbs. And it's not that your lens. I mean, we checked all that stuff out. I had one, I blew it up, and it looked like there was a design in it. And it's just a form of energy, a form of intelligence. I think there's so many things that we just don't know. And we think we know, we only know what we've been taught. And that's important to understand. Not everything you've been taught is truth either. I know that for a fact. They're here to help us save the planet. I think so. Some of them. Well, why? Experiment with the DNA, change the first frequency. Hybridization program, mentioned that. All of the above, They're not supposed to interfere with us. They did interfere with us up there at the camp. I say us because there was more than just me up there having this happen. We all recorded them too, so we have redundancy in their sounds. I think they want this planet. They want us to take care of it so we don't destroy it with our bombs and stuff. I said that already. 20% of Bigfoot reports have a UFO or alien connection. Huffington Post, 2012. What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics. Now, most everybody here believes in the hereafter. Some are atheists, some may not be. Most probably aren't. If you believe in God, believe in the hereafter, you pretty much have to believe in quantum physics, because that's another dimension. And it's just another thing going on that we're trying to understand. So many people just want to put God on the shelf for Sunday morning or whenever they go to church, whatever they do. But really, we're part of all that. We're all one consciousness, one. We're all one. We just are separated by our physical limitations. But you get into the pineal gland, the heart rhythm connected to the brain, so your brain and heart are in coherence. all those things working together, so you can receive from your pineal gland, it tells the heart what to do. It's that gut feeling. The gut feeling needs to be able to tell this upper brain what to do, not be analytical about it. And that's kind of important, I think, to go by your gut feeling, not your analytical mind. The brain will talk us out of a lot of stuff. And because quantum physics and spirituality are on the same plane. And the paranormal, the supernatural, the miracle, so on. Those anomalies can usually be answered with the science of quantum physics. Here's Einstein saying, well, one man, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. Pretty sure if you could say that today, he'd say spirituality, not religion. A lot of religions are man-made. You have to jump through that hoop to get to heaven, or actually going. I'm almost done. My summary here. This goes on, but I'm pretty much done, except for we live in a third dimensional environment. I'll run through this real quick. This is my book, too. Over many millennia, perhaps even prior to Homo sapiens, different types of advanced entities have manipulated the DNA of different species. And for eons, Sasquatches have crossbred with indigenous people, making some of them more human-like. We call that the dilution factor. Some of the original attributes may be recessed. This will also cause their trackways to be different. You guys know about the Patterson film, the trackways that are there. I think that being was a hybridized human. The trackways are very human-like. Our trackways are a little different. They're splayed, quite a bit bigger, toes straight across like that. They walk like one foot in front of the other, two like that. And I just think we had something different going on up there. It might have been pure alien, I don't know. We call it Bigfoot because they had a pretty big impression, and they are big, no doubt about that, but they don't interfere, and they're not supposed to, because we are here to fulfill our karma, to balance ourselves. If you don't respond to everything with love and compassion, you're going to go backwards, downhill. You want to raise your vibrational frequency to get into the final, not the final, but up into a different frequency in the cosmos when you do pass on from this body, but you got to be dealing with love and compassion. Don't get mad if the little old lady didn't take off when the light turned green because she doubled her medication. I might be that way. So don't get mad at me. Our government is aware of different vibrational, different beings in the cosmos, but control the narrative. By the way, they'll always control what they can't, they'll always control the narrative of what they can't control. Just like the Roswell weather balloon, remember that? Thank you. I got a yes out there. Well, we've been told now that it's not a weather balloon, right? What was it? Who's a UFO? It wasn't one of ours. There were 4 aliens on that thing. One survived, I understand the 50. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that in a little while. Kind of ancient here, you know. Aliens have a hybridization program, and pretty much believe that. Some may be here to guide, however, some agendas are different. Some could be malicious. They're not all the same. So if you say, I'm not looking for Bigfoot, which one you're going to run into? A bad one or a good one? Some of you have seen the film I was in with Discovery Channel in 2001, Alaska Killed Bigfoot. Anybody see that? Oh, who did that? My wife again? Anyway, I was in that, I think episode 4 and 5, and those people, in my opinion, have something going on up there. I mean, really, I flew in a helicopter because they want to know if it was safe to really evacuate that village. So many didn't kill there so many years ago, in the 40s. Their ancestors evacuated the village completely. They want to re-habituate the village and start their fishing again and do what they were doing. But when I flew over in a helicopter, I noticed that the trees have been clear cut a lot, years and years ago, they already grown back, but there was smoke that's still there. You can see where that happened. From the pictures I saw in the 40s, they were overfishing, I mean fishing, just crazy fishing. And they were also mining the area. So my advice to them, I'm not going to tell them it's safe or not safe, because you just don't know yet, but is respect the property, respect the land. And I think we should all do that. Respect the land. Thank you. Just become one. And, just understand that this is our earth to take care of. We've been given dominion on it. Not necessarily dominance, but dominion. And yeah, some Sasquatch, I think, can change their frequency from matter to energy. Their density changes, trackways can disappear. They do that through, I think, their advanced vocal mechanism, just my opinion, again, because we don't know how advanced their mechanisms are. Cassette recorders only record what they can hear. And the scientist is going to give us some elements to set out there to catch ultrasound, excuse me, backed out after she got her $2,500. And said she heard human voices in their recordings. Well, yeah, you do, because they can speak in our tones. They can speak within our, some people say they heard their dog's name being called out when the dog wasn't there. Some people hear their own name being called out when they're in the woods. And there's nobody out there that knows your name, supposedly. So anyway, I'm just saying that they do toy with you, so be prepared for that. They think that we think we're smarter than them. We're not. I mean, not when it comes to the woods and what's really going on. If you understand some of this quantum physics stuff, you'll realize that those things exist out there and maybe how to deal with it. Humans are special. I believe that wholeheartedly. Aliens are not superior to humans, but have different levels of consciousness. They understand and use vibrational frequency and energy, the laws of quantum physics. And that's my summary. However, having compassion raises your frequency. But some of these giants understand this and want to guide our humanity, because some people have a Bigfoot as a guide, supposedly. I talk to Native Americans and says they got a guide as a Bigfoot guide. We're all supposed to have guardian angels, but what does that mean? Different entities from a different frequency are trying to tell us something through our opinion, right? That's our receptor, you know. That's how we meditate. If you meditate, just relax, let it come to you. That should go to your heart, which is going to tell your brain what to do, that's your gut feeling. And I think that's how you receive from the universe. We're all connected again, so one day we'll all know all this stuff we're talking about, or not. And I have interactive suggestions. This is just from my experiences up there in the mountains and different places. Be clear about your non-aggressive intentions. Have small groups with the same agenda, intent. Horses and guns are okay. Mindsets are non-aggressive, because they seem to know what your intentions are. How do they do that? They know your frequency. Locate remote spots near water, like that. Habituate the area, be predictable, be patient. Great curiosity, have fun, be cheerful. You can't make this happen, by the way. You got to let it happen. Listen for the sound of silence. Some people say they know what they sound like, and maybe they do, but no animal sound. Know what a cat can sound like. Know what different forest animal sounds like. It's in the area you're at. And again, they can mimic those sounds. I thought I was listening to an owl one time. I turned my little tape recorder on and it squealed back at me because I had the speaker switch wrong. That owl sound turned right into a Bigfoot chatter. And it was interesting. I was with the daughter then. And I said that, of course, animal sounds. Off the food, good food. One time we laid out some rank food. They buried it, we found the handprint the next morning. The food was under the dirt. They don't like rank food. Same time, they left a jar of peppers. We left open hot peppers. Those were all gone. And they didn't mess with us anymore that weekend. inside and outside your 3D parameters. Know who you are as a human and honor your feelings, not your fears. Have control over the only enemy you have. Let me know what your enemy is.
No.
I'm gonna tell you. Don't tell anybody. The only enemy is fear. There's really nothing to fear. You can be good no matter what happens, as long as you know who you are. Just saying. Here's some don'ts. This will be one of my last slides. Tell Scott Nelson he's got to come up here and squirrel in the cage. Here's the don'ts. Here's what I found. The don'ts. Don't be the aggressor. You can't make something happen. It's their term and their time. I don't take dogs and children. I say that because dogs will be aggressive generally, or they won't be any good anymore. And on my second CD, I got an 911 call, which was, I interviewed this guy, and he had his big German Shepherd killed. And he said he saw Bigfoot too. He heard a big squeal, a big thump. And his dog comes sailing over and landed 35 feet. We measured it from where it had to be thrown from. And anyway, he saw Bigfoot too, so there you are. I just don't suggest taking dogs. Don't shine blinding flashlights. Don't jump around when you hear unidentified sounds. Just be calm, be simple, stay simple. I tell people to just be real. Don't try to trick them. Also document what you do. You can't trick them. They seem to know what you're fixing to do. You set up camera traps and all that stuff, trying to trick them. They go around the camera trap. It wasn't working. And share your knowledge, don't judge others. Keep your guard up, and don't underestimate, because you don't know what to do. You might be dealing with something that's very aggressive, but you'll know. If they tear your arm off, you know they're not going to be friendly. That's how you know. And be safe, prepared. You won't find them, they'll find you. And they will toy with you. Again, they think we know more than they do, and they will mess with you. So they're just saying. This is my book. I'm working on another one right now, which takes off of this one. And answer a few more questions, I think, that I hadn't resolved yet. That gets into all these different things. Spirituality and health. My mission for community. This is my first book, my chronicle, on page 126. You can get the link. It taps into the sound I'm talking about, so when you read the part I'm talking about, my chronicle, you can hear the sound I'm talking about. And it's like, oh yeah, I've sold 100 million copies of it so far.